All right, welcome to my channel. In this video, I want to share what my story is when I received the diagnosis for my type 2 diabetes. Now, I'm 42 years old right now, and I was diagnosed about 5 years ago or so. I was about 36 years old when I received the diagnosis. And honestly, I didn't really even know what diabetes was. And of course, I've heard of it before, but I really didn't pay much attention to what it actually is or what it truly does to the body and so forth, like what the diagnosis means, right? You hear of other people have diabetes. You never think that it actually could be you that could get diabetes and what that's going to mean for you. You always just think of like, oh, other people get it, right? Most people, let me just, before I go any further, any information in this video is 100% just my journey and story with my type 2 diabetes. No information should be taken and done anything with without consulting with your doctor. So don't make any diet changes or exercise changes or medication changes. Don't do any of that. I'm just sharing this in a kind of vlog type fashion because I want to get more information out there, and it's helped me. The few channels that are out there has helped me along my journey, but I still feel like, considering the fact that there actually is just an estimated, right? You can go to Google, you can do searches, you can go to ChatGPT, all kinds of stuff, but just an estimate, there's probably at least 35 plus million people in the United States that have type 2 diabetes right now. And so that's a ton of people, and it's only getting worse. It's just continuing to increase, right? And so there are not a lot of people out there sharing their story on like what might be working like for them on managing their type 2 diabetes. And so this is my channel to just get the word out there on what I'm doing. And you can make your own decisions based on the information that you have in front of you. But just remember, you should never make any changes based off of a YouTube video. This is just my experience and my journey. I want to be very clear about that. I'm going to try to get those kind of disclaimers out right in the very beginning of every one of my videos because it's very important too. This is going to be kind of a health and type 2 diabetes type channel. And I have to be very careful at my disclaimers and the wording and so forth, that it's very clear that I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional in any way. I'm just sharing with you my story. Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, let me continue with my story, okay? So I did have high blood pressure from about 30, maybe 31, 32, somewhere in my early 30s. I had high blood pressure when I went into the doctor. And so they started me off on medication, and I've pretty much been on the common medications. And it's always been just a little tiny, like the lowest dose possible. There's actually been times where they put me on the lowest dose and it actually would lower my blood pressure a little bit too much. So I've always been on a very low dose, but for whatever reason, I think it might be genetically. I have other people in my family that have high blood pressure as well. So I just kind of accepted that. And I think that I've came to terms with like, it's okay, generally speaking, with blood pressure medications, like there's not a whole lot I could do to offset my blood pressure. So I've kind of accepted that, okay, cool, you have to take medication for that. And so I've been taking medication for that for about 10 years, and that hasn't been a problem. There has been no side effects. It doesn't impact my life in any way. And so I've kind of accepted that. But typically, blood pressure is maybe like another side effect of diabetes, or maybe when you have high blood pressure, it also is basically, it's common for type 2 diabetics or to have high blood pressure as well. But I didn't think much of it until later on. I was getting a checkup by the doctor, and they decided I don't know if I ever had my blood work done. Definitely not recently, right? And so they had ordered me to get my blood work done. So I got the blood work done, and then I just remember it was back in 2019, about 5 years ago, again, 36 years old. I got a call from my doctor directly on the phone, and unfortunately they said that I unfortunately have type 2 diabetes, and my doctor recommended medication immediately, right? And I remember distinctly in her tone on the phone that it was a tone of very kind of life sentence sounding. It was like she was sorry. She was like, this is never going to be able, like your whole life is going to change at this point. And I got to be honest, like in some respects, that is correct. That it was in some respects the right tone, because my life has never been the same since. It has truly changed my life. And if you get that diagnosis, it's really going to change your life, whether you end up being on medications, take insulin, or what have you. it's going to change your life if you don't do those things, and you're going to continue, your diabetes is going to continue to progress and get worse and worse, right? And so no matter what happens, your life is going to change. And so that might have been an appropriate response, but it was concerning to me, and it also caused like depression and worry, anxiousness, all those things. Like there was a lot of questions I had that weren't answered. At no point was there even any information, or did my doctor even allude to the fact that there might be some things you can do in your diet and exercise and so forth to maybe prevent yourself from having to take medications or whatever. No, they just immediately started me on medication. I can tell you that my blood sugar never went, I believe it never went over 8. So I was like in the high 7s, I believe. And so it might have been just over 8, something like that. I definitely know for a fact I've never been over 9. And maybe at that moment in time, it was like an 8.5 or something like that when I first got diagnosed. And then they got me on medication that basically it increases your pancreas to produce more insulin. So then it really like just supercharges your pancreas, floods your body with insulin. When I'm going to make more videos about this and stuff, but essentially a type 2 diabetic doesn't have a problem with insulin. You've got insulin. Your body can't use it anymore. Your body is basically blocking it and not utilizing it anymore. And so, but I didn't know that at the time, 5 years ago, right? So I just did what the doctor said. That's what everyone does, right? Okay, cool. Start taking these little pills. And then I would have all these incidents where my blood sugar would go way too low. I would be at church or I'd be out in public or something like that. And if we did too much walking or too much activity, where my blood sugar would drop so low that I would break out in sweats and I had no energy. I had to sit down, and then I had to even like grab candy or something like that just to like survive, right? And it just is such like an oxymoron. Like it's like the exact opposite of what you should be doing, because type 2 diabetics, generally speaking, struggle with high blood sugar, of elevated levels of high blood sugar. And why in the world we should never be in a state where we're actually having to eat candy or something like that because our blood sugar is too low. So I believe, what is that? Hypoglycemia. That I would have incidents of that happening. So eventually, after months of that, it did lower my blood sugar. I will say that, but it didn't come without a bunch of very uncomfortable, unnecessary events of low blood sugar. So that didn't work. And then I just continued to have medication issues. I couldn't, for other health issues that I have, basically I have digestive type of issues, gut issues and so forth from an accident I had a long time ago when I was a teenager. I got in a vehicle accident, and I had a lot of internal problems from the damage of that car accident. And so like common medication like metformin and so forth wouldn't be a good medication for me because I already had digestive issues. And one of it's a very common side effect. I think almost everybody's going to have issues, digestive issue wise, when you take metformin. Every single person I've talked to and they've taken metformin, they've had like gut and digestive type issues and so forth. I had somebody that said like they were on metformin and they could never leave the house or leave the bathroom, stuff like that, right? So you hear all those stories and stuff. It's not really, you definitely don't want to be put on a medication that makes you do that. Some of you might be on that medication. Let me know in the comments if you have issues with it or not. But some people obviously can take it, figure it out, and it works for them. But there was a lot of medications that were off limits for me. And so then just kind of maybe a year or two in, probably maybe 6 months to a year in, I would say. I didn't go that long with taking medications before I quickly went to YouTube, found videos, started doing the research for myself on is it even possible to like manage type 2 diabetes naturally? Is it possible to reverse diabetes and so forth? And that's where I kind of came across Dr. Jason Fung and so forth. He's kind of like the king expert on reversing type 2 diabetes and so forth. So I educated myself on his content and the idea that you could use diet and exercise and intermittent fasting to lower your blood sugars naturally and eventually get out of type 2 diabetes range with where your blood sugars are, right? So got his books, read his books, watched his YouTube videos, tried to find other content and so forth. And I've been on this path now for a few years where I'm currently, my weight, I've lost 20 pounds on a low carb diet, and I've been able to keep that off for like 8 months now. And so I'm doing really, really good with that. My current A1Cs are probably around a 7.0. When I saw the doctor last about maybe 6 weeks ago, they were elevated again. They were at like 7.6, 7.8 range. And so I said that day that I was going to finally completely, like, because it's been a few years now, I know a low carb diet works on the type 2 diabetic path to lower your blood sugars and all that stuff, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't come without challenges and it's not hard. It's super hard. And now you could say it's simple. It's definitely simple to do. Just don't eat these foods, right? I'm going to make a lot more videos on that and so forth. But yes, just don't eat foods that raise your blood sugar. But I mean, I got to be honest with you. That part is kind of hard, right? And so it doesn't come without its challenges, but I have gotten a lot more stricter in the last month or so. My blood sugar levels have come down a lot, and I'm still aiming to get to that 6.5 level where I'm now pre-diabetic, and I haven't really been in that pre-diabetic stage in the last 5 years. And so I'm currently not on medications. We've tried medications. They don't work, or the side effects are too strong for me. And so I finally just decided that, hey, I'm going to fight this, and naturally, I'm going to reverse this naturally with diet and exercise. And so that's the path and journey that I'm on. I want to share tips with you guys. That's why I'm going to document this on this channel on YouTube, because I want to be another resource for people that there's lacking of channels. Leave in the comments below if you watch this video, if you made it this far. There are just not enough people like what I'm willing to do right here on YouTube, which is share their journey, share what's working for them, share that it is possible to lower your blood sugars and so forth. Really just go type this in. There's only a few channels of people that are actually type 2 diabetic, that are actually on this journey, and that are actually trying to reverse their type 2 diabetes, that are willing to share the ins and outs, the pros and the cons, the ups and the downs about the journey when you're successful and so forth, or when you're like, oh no, I'm having a hard time on my diet this week or so forth. That's what I'm making this for. So there's another resource on YouTube because I want to potentially help people out. Sharing my journey, if it does nothing else but just open your mind and your eyes to the possibility of not having to manage your diabetes based on medication and just loading your body full of medication or insulin and all those things, where it's still going to progress. Because if you do those things and you try to eat the American regular diet that is out there that everybody else is eating, the medicine's only going to take you so far, and then eventually you're going to have to double your dose, you're going to double your insulin, it's going to continue to progress. It is a progressive disease that just continues to get worse if you don't do the right things. And so I'm choosing the path of like, no, I don't want those things. They make me feel like crap. The side effects make me feel like crap. And so I would rather be on a low carb diet and do certain things naturally in an effort to fight and reverse my type 2 diabetes than taking all of the drugs and medicines that are out there, which make you feel like crap anyways. And we already know that they're not going to solve the problem for us, that they're just going to be putting a quick Band-Aid on it, right? And so that's why I'm creating this channel, just to share my journey, because I noticed that there was not any other channels other than a few, of course. And so I want to, first and foremost, just try to help people that are confused. Maybe you just got a diabetic diagnosis and you're seeking out what are other people doing? Are there other people out there that don't want to take medication, and how are they managing it, and what's their story like? That's why I'm doing this first and foremost, is to try to help people out. And I think that this could help motivate people that want to change their lives, they're either pre-diabetic or diabetic. Because like I said, with an estimated of 35, 36 million Americans and millions upon hundreds of millions in the world that actually have type 2 diabetes, and there needs to be more people willing to talk about it and share their journey. And so that's why I'm making these videos right here. If anything else, if you got any value whatsoever and you want more content like this, just hit that like button. It'd be great if you would subscribe to the channel and just hit that like button. That's really all I'm asking. And I'll continue making videos about like what I'm eating, the simple things that I'm eating. I'm definitely not a chef or a cook or anything. So like, I want you guys to see what it's like to be somebody that doesn't like to cook at all, that's been married for 20 years, has kids, has pets, has a really busy life, has a career, all those things, and still managing it and having go-to foods that you can always count on, and some of the strategies and some of the challenges that come along, right? So just hit that like button. I'll continue making videos like this. Again, remember, I'm going to lead off every video with like the disclaimer, because this is a type 2 diabetic journey channel. I'm not an MD. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not even a nurse. I'm not a dietitian. I don't have any kind of educational background or degrees or certificates that I can professionally give out any advice whatsoever. So all of this is just a vlog documenting, sharing my diabetic journey, okay? Any information you get from this is at your own risk. You have to consult with your own doctor, medical professionals in order to make any changes in your actual diabetic journey and diet or exercise or medication schedule, right? So just want to be completely clear about that. YouTube will pick this up and everything, and I'm pretty sure I really hammered out the disclaimers on this one. I'm going to write a really nice, concise disclaimer that kind of protects me going forward, and I'll be stating that in all my videos in the very beginning, because that's going to be super important on a channel like this, just to make sure that you guys aren't taking any advice. If you guys want that kind of advice and stuff like that, of course, go and watch Dr. Jason Fung, because he can medically answer all those questions. This right here is just to show you the real world of someone that's trying to put some of those things into practice, reversing their type 2 diabetes in a natural way. So join me, hit that like button, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.